Welcome back to the program. So I wanted to touch on the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, because obviously they're still debating it. It's in the Senate right now. But so far, I am 100% accurate on what I said to begin with. And what I said was simply that they are doing what's known as a show vote. And so what does that mean? They want to get everybody on the record being against voter ID, which is, of course, an 80% plus issue, right, that people support. And so what they're planning on doing, there's two things they're planning on doing. They want to get these Democrats on record so that they can use it against them, which makes obviously a lot of sense for the midterms. And they want to run ads saying such and such opposed voter ID where 80% of the country wants it, right? This is what they want to do. So yes, that's all good. It's all positive. The problem is they just want to get everybody on record, and then they're hoping that all of you just say, oh, well, forget about it. We'll move on to something else, okay? This is the sinisterness of the Senate Republicans, okay? Now, the House is holding steady. 50 House members already, I think it might even be up to like 52 or 53, have said, absolutely agree, no, absolutely none. No deals, no legislation, no new laws, nothing until the SAVE Act is passed. So here was John Thune today discussing, I think it was today or maybe it was yesterday, discussing the SAVE Act in particular. And listen closely to his words, because if you want to know what they're thinking, this is it.
But at the moment, what we are trying to do is ensure that we are having a fulsome debate on an issue.
We're having a fulsome debate on an issue
that is overwhelmingly supported by the American people.
Overwhelmingly supported by the American people, right?
And one that puts everybody on the record.
And one that puts everybody on the record. Exactly what I said. Listen again.
A fulsome debate on an issue that is overwhelmingly supported by the American people, and one that puts everybody on the record, one way or the other. And so today, obviously, we're going to have a vote later this afternoon on whether or not biological males ought to be able to vote or ought to be able to compete and play in women's sports. But then we will move to something that Senator Husted addressed, and that was the piece of legislation he tried to get brought up and passed on the floor.
Okay, let me stop it right there. Senator from Ohio, John Husted, used to be the Attorney General of Ohio. I would not call this guy MAGA. I would not call him Hardcore America First. I would call him Tim Scottish type of Republican, okay? Conservative, but nowhere near where we need to be. Much more towards the establishment rather than the MAGA America First movement, okay? So just pointing that out right off the bat. He has come up with another proposal, and what this proposal is because Chuck Schumer, and there's so many other Democrats, not just him, but so many Democrats have been caught on camera saying that they believe in voter ID. He's now trying to use their words against him, and he wants to do a vote on nationwide voter ID, so photo ID, and driver's license, other forms of identification, but obviously driver's license is number one, passport was number two, anything else that was a legitimate document in order to do whatever, that was another one that you could use. So basically there was like 4 or 5 documents that you could use to prove, who you are. Wait a minute, who you are, not whether or not you're a citizen, but who you are, at least by the way you might look, right? Before you go and vote. Now, Lisa Murkowski, the illegitimate senator from Alaska, the one that did the write-in campaign because she got beat in the primary, well, she's now thrown a wrench in the Save America Act as well. And what they want to do, or what she wants to do, is she's complaining that because Alaska is so large and, area-wise and everything else and not very populated, it would be very hard for people over the age of 65 to get an ID. So she's proposing that we have photo ID, but proof of residency, proof of citizenship, and photo ID, but not for people born before 1961. Okay? This is the games that our Republican Party is playing. Well, there's so many older people and they can't go out and get IDs and they can't get documents and they don't know where it all is and they got to look for this and search for that. So in other words, Lisa Murkowski, which we know is not a Republican and has been on the wrong side of just about every single issue we've ever had, right, is now once again trying to get some wiggle room in there. Now, what I can't figure out from her, quote, amendment that she put in there is this just for this one time? Or is she saying, because I can't figure out what she's saying yet, that anyone over the age of 65 moving forward for the future, for years and decades and centuries to come, if you're over 65, you don't have to show a photo ID and prove that you're eligible? That's insanity, okay? Insanity. So that's going to be shot down as well. Now, as I was saying, Attorney General from Ohio, now Senator John Husted, he came up with a proposal for a 50-state photo ID requirement. What's missing from that? Proof of citizenship and mail-in ballots. So let me explain what's happening here, okay? They want to just do a show vote. They want to get people on record so that they can run against them. And then they're going to hope and pray, even though you know that they didn't solve the problem yet, they want you to go out in big numbers and vote for Republicans that only did voter ID requirement, but not a requirement to prove citizenship to register for that ID, and also getting rid of no-fault mail-in ballots. So what they're trying to do here, just so you understand, is they're trying to piecemeal it. They're saying, well, let's take the most popular thing that most people all would agree on, which is photo ID for all 50 states. And let's mandate that. Okay, great. That would be wonderful. But what about proving citizenship? And what about getting rid of the mail-in ballots? So in other words, you don't want to do that. You just want the easy way out, right? You want to take the path of least resistance. So you're hoping that you don't have to go down to a 51-vote majority with a talking or sitting filibuster, because that's, again, they're lazy as hell as well. And so instead, you're going to try to convince your, quote, colleagues on the other end of the aisle to vote because they have said that they believe in voter ID. So you're going to get your, quote, 60-vote majority, which is, of course, enough to pass, right? So that you can get around your filibuster. This is the stupid, bullshit, lying tactics that John Thune and the Senate Republicans are trying to pull. Okay? So, from what I can gather right now, if this does go to a vote, then you're going to need 60 votes, and that 60 votes is going to be only for photo ID. Okay? Only for photo ID. So let's just say it miraculously passes. Let's just say, what the hell? We get somehow 60 votes. 59, whatever, JD, whatever, 60 votes. So we have enough to pass it, right? But it's only photo ID. You know what Republicans are going to do? They're going to pat each other on the back, right? This and that. Look what we did. Look how we did it. We did what you wanted us to do. Look at how wonderful we are. No. You are not wonderful. You're scum. And yes, thank you for hopefully getting at least photo ID into law. But what about proof of citizenship? And what about the no-fault mail-in ballots? You see, no one's going to tell you any of this. No one is going to break it down so succinctly the way I'm doing it. Now, let's listen a little bit more. Remember, words are the key.
And objected to by the Democrats the other night. And we will move to that, put that, every Democrat on the record. So the photo ID amendment will be the next amendment. And I think all these things in the Save America Act, as we've all said, are common sense. We think they're supported by an overwhelming majority of Americans.
Well, then if they are, John, why don't you say no to Husted, no to Murkowski, grow some fucking balls, and get it done the way President Trump wants it done, pussy.
In many cases, as Senator Husted also pointed out, you have 36 states that have adopted photo ID laws.
Yeah, 36 states out of 50 already have photo ID laws. So you're just filling in the rest here. Oh, yes, what a big accomplishment, guys. Oh, yes. Yeah, pat yourselves on the back if you even can get there to 60.
Why wouldn't we have a nationwide one? And to hear the Democrats, hear the leader of the Democrats say in response to a question, we're not opposed to photo ID, but then to block even getting it up and considering it, and furthermore to offer an alternative that bans and prohibits specifically photo ID, I think speaks to where they are. But they're all going to have to cast that vote. So we're going to continue to debate this, and at some point we'll decide after we have a sufficient number of votes and we have had the opportunity to have that fulsome debate on the floor, we'll decide what to do next.
No, John, you're not going to decide what to do next. We're going to decide what you do next. You hear me? Because we will come for your ass. That's right. We will come for your ass. You don't get the 60 votes, which we know you're probably more than likely not going to get. You're going to 51 votes, okay? I don't care what we have to do to make sure that you go to the 51 vote majority, okay? We are going to get it done. We will show up in front of your house at 3 a.m. We will follow you everywhere you go with loudspeakers. We will make your lives a living fucking hell. Mark my words, I've done it. I've done many pressure campaigns. This wouldn't be the last, wouldn't be the first, wouldn't be the last. And I love doing it. So you're going to get this done, John. You're going to get it done. You're not going to pussyfoot and weasel out of this.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Good morning. Two questions about specific pushback on the bill that include Senator Murkowski, some of her pushbacks. One is that it's effective immediately. The Real ID card, for example, was phased in ultimately over 20 years. So it's a lot of owners you're putting on states to move around very quickly. And then the other is about rural.
So the left-wing prostitute whore asked him a question about when it would be implemented and how fast it would be implemented. And she said something about the Real ID taking years to be fully implemented, but this is supposed to be implemented immediately, obviously, before the midterms. And she's like, oh, isn't that such a burden? How are they going to do that? How are you going to put the burden on voters to do that? These people are demonic scum, every one of them.
Areas, and the question of there's some kind of murkiness, I think, in the way this is written as to whether people would have to travel for proof of citizenship specifically to bring their documents, and that might be a real burden on states like Alaska.
Websites your competitors.
Hang on, there's a commercial. But there's a little bit more that I wanted to get to here. Let me just get rid of this commercial real quick here.
Well, and I think you heard her talking, and that might be a question for Senator Husted to take too, as a former Secretary of State. But as the bill was being drafted, the attempt was to contemplate all the different scenarios that might play out in different states around the country, because states do have different laws and obviously have different geography. But I think in the end, the language that was agreed upon and adopted, I think addressed most of those concerns. And if there are other concerns out there, obviously there are conversations going on with Senator Murkowski. You mentioned Alaska. Alaska has some unique circumstances which we're trying to...
I don't care what Alaska has. Okay? I don't care if you have to drive or fly a little seaplane 400 miles. It doesn't matter. Okay? You're one state, and I'm not going to let one state get in the way of the other 49. Okay? So I don't care what you're doing up there in halibut land. It makes no difference.
To make sure are addressed. But there isn't any reason why any of those would get in the way of adopting a photo ID.
Exactly.
I mean, you're talking about other issues with regard to registration. There's some questions about mail-in ballots. But when it comes to photo ID, that is a straightforward issue. And that...
See what he just said? When it comes to mail-in ballots, that's a different issue. But when it comes to photo ID, what does he say? That's a straight up, easy one or something. Here, listen.
There's some questions about mail-in ballots. But when it comes to photo ID, that is a straightforward issue. And
when it comes to mail-in ballots, there's some questions. But when it comes to voter ID, that's a straight up...
That ought to be an up and down vote.
Up and down vote.
That every Republican and Democrat in the United States Senate can cast. That reflects an overwhelming majority of where their constituents are. And I don't know, anything you want to add to that, John?
I would just say that 36 states already do photo ID and some form of identification.
Yeah.
And I listened to what Senator Murkowski said the other night, and I believe that our straightforward bill on photo ID addresses her concerns that this can easily be implemented. So I know there are a lot of issues in the Save America Act, but this particular one focused on photo ID is something that can be easily implemented, which is already being implemented around the country.
All right.
Anyway, so there you have it. There's your rhino establishment. So what I think they're going to try to do here is I think they're going to try to piecemeal this thing. Okay? I think they're going to try to get voter ID done first and foremost. All right? And so that's all 50 states, mandatory voter ID. Not proof of citizenship and not mail-in ballots. So then they're going to basically pat themselves on the back and say, we got it done for you guys. Move on to the next thing. Hell no. Even if they get photo ID done with 60 votes and it's completely done, there is no way we are going to stop there. We need proof of citizenship, and we want to get rid of these ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous mail-in ballots. Okay? So is the Senate doing anything that would be so wonderful and so completely, mystical by requiring photo ID? No. You know what they're doing? They're getting on board, if they do it, with, the rest of the world, including some communist socialist countries too. So who has and requires voter ID? Germany. Let's see your papers, right? Italy, Switzerland, Ireland, India, Israel, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Poland, the Czech Republic, Finland, even the French have voter ID. Greece, Hungary, and let's see, Luxembourg was another one. Who else is on this list? Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, Pakistan, Russia, England, the UK, just about all of it, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, even Mexico, okay? All those countries require voter ID. And yet, we're fucking debating this issue? We're debating whether or not you have to show proof of who you are? I'm telling you right now, if they pass the photo ID, that's wonderful. That's great. Okay? I like it. That's good. You're doing the rest. Okay? You are doing the rest. We are going to have proof of citizenship, and we are going to get rid of these horrific mail-in ballots. And by the way, there isn't a country on earth that allows indiscriminate mail-in ballots, and there's no such thing as ballot harvesting in any country on earth. So why is it that foreign countries, some of them don't even have very good human rights records, how is it that they supposedly have legitimate elections? I'm not talking China and Russia and something like that. I understand they have ID, but look, I understand they're also communist countries and they cheat. I get it. You know, they do the machines. I understand. But what I'm saying as a basis, just as an overall basis of being able to show who you are in a visual aspect when you go to vote, all of these countries around the world require that. And yet we don't. Well, I'm telling you, we're going to do it. We're going to get this done. We just saw what happened in California. My goodness sakes. I mean, James O'Keefe was chased like 3 blocks the other day for his life because they're exposing voter fraud that's literally happening right in California, right in Skid Row, Los Angeles. They are literally registering people to vote, and they are giving them in exchange drugs. That's right, drugs. That's what they're giving them. It's all on those videos. It's so disgusting. We just had a huge bust in Mississippi or Alabama. I think it was Alabama, where they took down 3 people for more voter fraud. Oh, but no, there's no such thing as voter fraud. No, of course not. All of our elections are completely 100% secure, right? The most secure election in U.S. history was 2020, right, Sissa? Keep fighting. This is not over. And like I said, even if they get the 60, which I doubt they will, we are going to a talking filibuster or sitting filibuster, whatever it is. We are going to the 51 votes, and we are getting this done the way President Trump wants it done, and quite frankly, the way more than 80% of America wants it done. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.